Alright, hello to all you 398 poker junkies who, just like me, enjoy a little time at the tables. I can't wait to bring this episode. This is by far my favorite, and let's get into it. First, here's a little bit of footage from the beautiful Northwest. My wife and I took a hike, and we got to fly the drone around and get a couple of shots. It was a little bit overcast, but still gorgeous, and wanted to share it with you. Alright, let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the table. A secret weapon is in hand, and we're in the small blind with the ace of spades, queen of spades. I've been really aggressive up to this point, and the middle position player in this hand has been playing fairly tight, so his range is going to be strong. I'm going to choose not to bloat the pot and just call. We go three ways to a flop, which is good for our hand. Ace of diamonds, six of diamonds, seven of clubs, and I'm going to check it back to the pre-flop aggressor who decides to let it check through. Turn is the eight of hearts, and now we're going to go ahead and put some money in there. Even though there's three to a straight, I don't think that we're going to be facing a straight too often based on the action. There's a really fast call from the big blind, and then the middle position player calls as well. We go to the river, which now puts a four-liner to a straight, so all we need is a 9 for the straight. Not great for our hand, it shrivels up pretty fast, and so for that reason, we're going to check. $81 in the pot. The big blind is going to check as well, and the middle position player decides to now announce a $100 bet. We no longer are interested in this pot for that price. I don't think he's going to be doing this with anything less than a 9. Alright, this next hand is the reason that you tune into vlogs, so you can see stuff like this, because it very rarely happens. Alright, the beginning of this hand isn't anything super extraordinary. We have ace-jack offsuit. I'm in the small blind, and I think this is a spot where you could either fold against a raise or 3-bet. I don't really like smooth calling. I think the hand plays poorly out of position, and so for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet. So I 3-bet, and surprisingly, the big blind decides he wants to call. The original raiser, who was middle position, makes the call as well, and we go to the flop. The flop is okay for our hand. We've got the jack queen 6 with 2 diamonds, and I'm going to go ahead and check. If an opponent has a queen, I want to be able to control the size of the pot. I don't want to bet into that, and he did call a 3-bet, so it is possible. I check, and he ends up betting $30. I make the call. So our pot has now bloated up to $180. The middle position caller ends up folding. I check again on the turn when it comes down to 3 of hearts. So again, our opponent decides to bet. It's $45. It's such a small amount. We're talking a quarter of the pot. And so I just can't get away for this price, especially with the potential to like drill a 2-pair with an ace or something like that, hit another jack. And so I'm going to go ahead and hold on. Our opponent can have some bluffs at this price, and although I'm expecting him to have a queen most of the time. Now the river comes down, the king of hearts, and I'm going to go ahead and check again, and our opponent bets $85. Alright, so the bet size is really small, so we need to defend pretty wide. But here's where the hand gets really interesting. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my audio and let you listen to the way that I break down this hand. And then it gets even more interesting once we start talking. Well, I'm beating some hands. All those things people take for granted. I'm not beating all hands. If you have a queen, I don't think you're going to keep betting it unless it's king-queen. Could have flopped 2-pair, but I blocked that. So it's at this point that my opponent decides to turn over the 10 of diamonds. It's pretty sick if you have king 10 and you just drilled the king on the end. But diamonds is what I would expect you to have most of the time. Why would you show me that? Because you want to call? Did you stumble into it? I feel like that's ace 10 or king 10, or you have air. Why would you show that to me? You would never show that to me.
You have a queen, don't you?
Alright, it's got to be you've got to have the king of diamonds there.
Nope.
No?
Good call.
Alright.
Nice call.
Thank you. Alright, so why did I end up making that call? Really, it came down to this. I don't think that an opponent who wants a call is going to show a card that could be scary. So if he had like 9, 10 of diamonds, I think he's going to want the call, and I don't think he's going to want to show me that he has part of the straight. I think when you're bluffing here and say you have like 8, 10 of diamonds where you have a gut shot plus the diamond draw, now I think you're going to want to show that you have the 10 because you want to try to get your opponent to fold. Alright, another interesting hand develops pretty quickly after that one. So we now get LL Cool J's back in the building in the small blind. We're going to make it $25 over some limpers. And the reason is I don't want to go multi-way with jacks. I want to get this pot taken care of now. And if we do end up getting callers, I want them to be paying too much to call. So unfortunately that doesn't work at all. We end up getting 4 callers and go 5 ways to a flop. Not ideal at all for jacks. The flop comes down queen, 8, 6 with 2 diamonds. And I'm going to have to check. It doesn't make sense to bet into this board, especially with all these opponents. So I go ahead and check, and it ends up checking all the way through. The turn comes down, and the turn is the 6 of spades. So that's actually not a terrible card for us. I still don't think we're leading into all these opponents. Somebody can be checking here with like a weak queen. Maybe somebody checked a 6. And so I'm going to go ahead and check again. I check, and it gets to middle position, who ends up betting $25. 25 is just fine, not a big deal at all, so I'm going to go ahead and make the call. And the under the gun +1 player decides to make the call as well. River is the 7 of clubs. I'm going to go ahead and check this one more time, and now under the gun +1, who checked on the turn and called, leads for $150. Alright, so what is he going to do this with? I think if he has the 9-10 of diamonds or the 5-4 of diamonds, this would make sense. I can see him doing that. Otherwise, I don't think he's doing it with a queen, and I think if he had a 6, he's probably going to be raising it on the turn. When somebody bets and then there's a caller in between, I think you're going to want to bet that 6 right there, so it doesn't make a ton of sense. I feel like I'm sniffing out the bluff. There just aren't that many combos of straights, and so after tanking on it for a while, I decide that the best course of action here is to make the call. I throw in the calling chip, and I get shown this. That's right. I've been beat by quads 2 episodes in a row now. Alright, the action's not done yet. We've had some crazy hands, but there is plenty more in store. Check this one out. So ace of clubs, queen of clubs. We raised to $20 in the hijack, about $4.50 in the stack over 2 limpers. The cutoff decides to call, and the button now wants to raise and make it $80. I think about this one for a little bit. My hand's a little bit too strong just to be getting out of there for a single 3-bet raise, and so I'm going to call. We're definitely going to have some ace-king that we're up against and some big overpairs, so this is a spot where I think if I don't have the caller in between, I'm probably going to get out of the way more often than not in a small stakes cash game. In this case, I decide to make the call because the extra money's in there and because we have the suited ace. So we have the potential to get their whole stack on a flush draw as well. We go to a flop. The flop comes down 7, 9, 10 rainbow with a single club. And I check, and it gets checked through. The turn now comes down to 3 of diamonds, so we still have a rainbow board. No flushes are going to get there. And now I'm going to make the decision that if I've made the initial raise, I have more pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 7s when I bet and then call the raise. So because of that, I think when he checks back, my range actually is going to begin to contain more nutted hands because he should be betting his aces, kings, and queens, even jacks. All that stuff should be betting on the flop. So I make the bet, and he decides to call. So now I think that the things he's calling with are probably either sets that he decided to slow play on the flop or big cards, like big overcards. Alright, so we get to the river, and the river is the 5 of hearts. I think you could just check and give up in this spot after he calls, but I also think, again, if I have the nuts and I've represented the nuts on the turn, I can represent it again the same way I would play it if it was set of 9s, set of 10s, set of 7s. I'm going to have more of the sets on this board. And so for that reason, I go ahead and rip it. We have air, guys. We have absolute air, and we are all in. He takes a very long time to think about this one. So long, in fact, that minutes go by. He is just not prepared to fold, and thinking, and wants a count, and thinks it through again, and continues thinking. Not what we want to see. I can't beat anything. Let it go. So after several minutes go by, he finally decides on a fold. Whew. Alright, Queen 10 of clubs. We straddled this pot and everybody limped, so we're going 5 ways when I check my option to 8, 9, 4 rainbow. We've got a gut shot and 2 overs. I'm going to go ahead and check, but it ends up checking all the way through, which isn't a bad result at all. So we get a free 6 of diamonds. And now the 6 of diamonds is going to add the double gutter, so we can hit a 7 or a jack for the straight. I'm going to bet $20. I'd be happy to just take this pot down right now, and but we do have the potential to make the nuts on the river if we do end up getting a caller. And we do end up seeing a caller. We go to the river, and the river is the jack of spades. Cha-ching! So I'm going to go ahead and bet $55 here, and we will hope that we can get a call out of our opponents. You know, I think you could polarize even more, but I like, since my opponents have been calling up to this point, they probably don't have a lot to call with, and so I'm going to see if I can squeak out the value on this one. Our opponent thinks about it, but not for too long before making the call. We hit the perfect river card. They have Queen Jack offsuit. So we end up getting paid, and we're able to scoop some chips. We're in the hijack for this one. We get Ace King offsuit, and we've got some limpers in front of us, so I make it $20 to punish the 2 limpers, and we end up getting 2 callers anyway. So we go 3 ways to a flop, and the flop comes down Queen of clubs, Deuce of diamonds, 4 of diamonds. We don't have a whole lot going for us, but we do have 2 overcards and a backdoor diamond draw. I'm going to go ahead and bet 25 into 60 here, and we do get 1 caller. The turn comes down the 3 of spades. Our opponent checks to us, and I'm going to bet $70. We just improved to a potential straight draw. On top of that, we have 2 overcards, and I feel like we can improve on so many outs. Let's put some pressure on and try to take the pot now. If we don't get it, we have a lot of things that we can hit that are going to be really good for our range. So I make it 70, and our opponent does decide to make the call. The river now comes down the 3 of hearts. We have not improved, and if we're going to win this one, it's going to be with a bluff. But before it gets to us, before we even have the option to consider the bluff, our opponent decides that they are going to lead into us. So he goes ahead and leads for $100. Now I know I'm no good. Chances are he has a queen, and for some reason just couldn't wait, or he has the straight, maybe he has the wheel or something. After I fold, he ends up showing a 3 of diamonds, so I would assume ace 3 of diamonds. If that's the case, he had the nut flush draw, the straight flush draw, and a pair by the turn. No way we're getting him off of it, so probably saves us money that that card comes in. In this one, we're on the button. We've got Jack King of hearts, and it is a straddled pot with a couple of limpers, so I'm going to make it $30 when it gets to me. I still end up getting 2 callers. We're going 3 ways to the flop, and the flop comes down Jack of clubs, Jack of diamonds, 4 of spades. Kaboom! We have crushed this. Now the question is, do we want to bet or do we want to check? I'm going to go ahead and bet. I'm going to do this a lot when I have air as well on the button when it checks to me, and so balancing out that range is important. Plus, I think some people can be calling here with, say they have like pocket 7s or something. I think you can make a call at least once for a half pot size bet. So I'm looking to get value. It doesn't happen. Unfortunately, everyone folds, but hey, we're scooping a pot. Nice little pile of chips here for the trip jacks. Okay, ace of clubs, 9 of clubs. We're in the small blind. We played a lot of hands out of position. I try to avoid that for the most part, but it's just kind of the way our cards fell tonight. And there's some limpers again. I make it $20 over those limpers in the small blind. 2 of them call, and the flop comes down the Jack of clubs, 6 of clubs, 7 of diamonds. I bet $25. I'm hoping to improve to the flush, but if I don't, I can still bluff my way out of this one fairly easily depending on what shows up. Plus we have an ace that we can hit. The turn comes down the 4 of hearts, and I bet $65. My opponent now jams $100 more. After we make the call, our opponent shows that he has the King 7 offsuit. So we're drawing very live. Unfortunately, the river's a blank, and we do not scoop the pot. Our opponent gets us with the King 7 off jam. That is either next level or maniacal. I'm not sure which, but it's one of the two. But it works out for him. He gets paid. All right, guys, that wraps this one up. We end up booking a small loss of $274. It doesn't matter. This was still my favorite session, even though it was a loss. And the cool thing is, I filmed this while I was waiting to play another session, and the session that follows is just as much fun. I can't wait to bring it to you. I'm editing it right now. Also, I am headed to Vegas here soon and very excited to bring you some content from the WSOP. Gonna play some tournament poker, gonna play some cash games, and just excited to travel, bring you guys along. Hope that you enjoyed this content. If you did, give it a like and a subscribe. Also, I want to hear from you guys. Comment below. Tell me your favorite hand, one of your most interesting spots, one of your favorite hands that you've ever played. Looking forward to hearing that. If you want to watch some more, if you've enjoyed this and want another video, give this a click right here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.